This is very cool. I have AI telling me which products I should be purchasing. So in the Smart Analyzer, I have all of my products loaded from this scrape that I ran. And you can see previously sold, there's 131 items. There's now a chatbot built into the Smart Analyzer, the AI sourcing advisor. It gives you a summary of all the different things that it's seeing. And then you can ask it the questions here. So I asked it, which one of these should I buy again? And it immediately comes back and says, here's the ones that you must buy. And it lists the actual products that I have over here within that sheet that I scanned. So you can see it even gives it a deal rating and the recommendation and how many that I should buy. It goes from tier 1 to tier 2 to all these different recommendations. I could then say, okay, which ones are the absolute best products to buy from my list? What's happening in the background is it has a copy of all this data, all these data points, all these recommendations and rankings and profit ROI. All that data is already there. So now it's coming back. And when I ask it, what are the absolute best products to buy? It comes back with striped shorts, buy again. This one has ones that I've already sold. So the sportswear, Columbia, Nike, another Columbia, and it's saying their justification. So this is an actual AI bot. I could ask it questions that are not one of these. There are ones that'll recommend that you can ask, like, what are the fastest sellers based off of the velocity? And again, it's querying all that data. It's looking at the different data points. And when it makes that recommendation, it's on the actual products that you've already scanned, including the ones, that you can see that are profitable to purchase. It does have estimated sales and monthly reviews in the sheet that you can sort by, but here's ones when it says, which ones should I buy that are top velocity? Again, it's giving you the rank, the reason why it's fast, and all of that. So maybe I'll ask it a question like, if I only have $200 to source, how would I maximize that $200 based on this sheet so that I would get the best return on my investment that I can get? So when I ask it the specific shopping list, it then comes back with that and it says, buy these striped shorts. They're only $24.90 each. So if you bought 3, you're looking at 118% ROI. Here's another one where I could buy 2 and it's a low buy cost. That's a 153% ROI. And then these ones, again, these are all sold before, so they're proven winners. And it tells you the quantity of how you would spend your 200. Then it summarizes it for you, says, okay, here's your 200 investment. And you would expect a return on that of $204. So 102% ROI by purchasing 10 products. So that's really powerful, especially if you're newer, if you're not sure, you have the list, you have data points like these with all the information in here, but you still want AI to come through and look at these and give you its recommendations. You can free type a question. You could say, which of the ones that I sold before would be the most profitable right now? So as long as you're asking it questions regarding this information, you don't have to use the pre-built questions, but it will actually give you that data. And once you filter, you could actually filter a specific view and ask it, okay, I filtered down to the ones that are like top reviewed, top estimated sales, highest profit. What do you think? What's your opinion on this particular filter? So again, if I ask it, what are the ones that I sold, what would be the top 5 right now? It's saying these shorts, the 3X size, that I would be able to get to 156%. There's another one that's a repeat buy that I sold for 133 before, and Amazon price here. So it gives you all the data and whatever you can think to ask of it. Having a knowledgeable sourcing partner are things that you could ask. So another one, I could say, which ones are new variants that are profitable and good velocity? So again, on here, there are designations for ones that have new variations, and it'll be able to go through and answer questions like that and be able to sort and show you which of those products would be the best ones with this. And I can close this. The little chatbot is always there in the window. And of course, I could still do the normal sourcing if I'm sorting by excellent. This is a scan that I ran today. So you can see it came out with 12,000 products that are in Amazon's catalog that are also at Kohls. Kohls has a clearance sale. They have Kohls Cash. So you can see there's some pretty good numbers here on profitable products. And then my sold before is coming in here. I can sort by reviews to get an idea of which ones are the top velocity. And then I can just look at the ROI. So I can look at ones that, like this one is one that it's recommending before because it's currently 63% ROI. I can click in here. It's showing me I've sold it 3 times before, when I sold it, what the price was. And you can see the average price was 67 and right now it's 110. So that's jumped up a lot. And it shows you the information here. And if it's giving you a recommendation here, it's saying that it's a fast selling one and good margins so that you would want to go deep on something like this. And of course, if you want to source it, you simply click the buttons right next to that listing and it'll open up. You can first check Amazon and see what it's showing for that jacket. It opens up to the exact variation. So you can see this is purple, medium, and then I can check the buying options here once that comes up. And then I can just validate if that's still that $110 buy cost, which it is. And that doesn't include $8 delivery. So that's a really high price for this item that I've already sold 3 times. And you can see the data here validates that a lot of times it's not in stock. It dropped right around Christmas and remained out of stock. And now you can see some activity once it's come back in. The lowest it's been is around 72 since then. And the buy box was 63. And now it's jumped all the way to 110. Will it get 110? Maybe, but you can always jump on this and still get really good profit and undercut the current buy box by a few dollars. And that way you'll be in the buy box. So you see that product here. You see the exact same product on Kohls. And then all I have to do is make sure I'm selecting size medium. And you can see here, it's on, the price is $65. I have Kohls Cash, so that's going to give me about another 17% off, makes my buy cost around that $53 mark. And I can even check and see how many of these does Kohls have right now. They have 15. So again, if it's saying buy 10 or 15, I could buy 10 or 15 of these. Kohls would be sold out, at least of this particular color and size. So that way it would limit the competition where other people's aren't finding the same listing. And then I could go and send that to my prep center or immediately list it for sale. Again, jumping into that buy box because there's good margin there. So again, if I look at this listing here, if it's sold for that 110, I'd be looking at a $34 profit on this single item, which is 63%. And even if I go to say 107 or 104, there's still plenty of margin there. And then you can see it's on a very popular listing that has over 51,000 reviews. So if I look at that Amazon listing, these sell over 13,000 a month. And what happens is, of course, there's a ton of variations. You have all these different sizes, all these different colors, but it's a very popular listing, 439, 1%. So it's a very popular item. And when you go into that and you have one of the variations, and so I was looking at medium, you're going to show up there as an option. Now, of course, some of these variations you can see are a lot less, but if someone had their heart set on purple, they may pay more than that. And then even if you had to lower the price, there's still a lot of room at $34 profit to compete with some of the other variations. The scanning that you're doing are finding these, right? So it's very difficult to, at a glance, know that you're on the 6-page variations, that this particular one that seems to sell pretty well, since I've sold 3 in the past, has jumped up in price and is really good profit at the moment. The analyzer will find it, the chatbot will recommend it. But if you're standing in the store or you're just looking at this listing on Kohls, like all these colors, all these sizes, you'd have to go one by one and try to see which one do you think is going to be profitable? How many competing offers are there? What is the estimated velocity? Whereas this Smart Analyzer gives you all of that data. So you can see it's a very powerful tool. This is one particular scan that I ran. I do have another actually from Kohls again. This is on some different brands. So this is Adidas, New Balance, Columbia. Again, look at all the options here. So I scanned about, I think maybe 1,500 to 2,000 products, which means that if I were paying out of pocket for just this one, it would be like $5 to run this. But you can see when I look at this, the profit in here was obviously much higher than that. And even if I sold one item to make money, it's going to pay for itself. So what I like to do is I click on the excellent ones. I like to do that estimated sales, either based on the sales rank or the reviews. Look at some of the ones that it's recommending. This one has a pretty low ROI right now because the buy cost is really high, but there's some on here, like 60% on here, that looks pretty good. And I would just look at this. And then if I want chatbot to come in, you can see that he jumps in and gives me all this information. It also is looking at potential of like $16,000 of profit for all these different items. And then I could simply, again, say, what's the best selling ones, the fastest? What should I buy again if I had that $200 budget? If I want to look at a particular brand, it's understanding what's on this. So it's saying, what are the best Skechers ones that I should buy? What are the ones that have low competition? So fewer offers. That's very powerful. And then again, if I filter this, I can analyze the view that I've settled on, and it'll give me more information on that. So right now it is looking at the data set and it comes through here. And again, giving you a really good list of Skechers items with that ROI of 124%. Amazon is 99% of the time out of stock, which is great. The profit is really high, and it gives you the different options here. And of course, you would just look at those in here and then vet them, open them up in Amazon, take a look at Keepa, take a look at Cellaram and things like that. Very powerful addition that you're able to not only use the built-in questions, but ask it pretty much anything that you would like on this sheet. Other ones that I can look at, I can sort any of these rows. So maybe within this, I want to see what is the top ROI. And some of these, of course, are extremely high. And it's good on one hand, but if you can buy something for 11 and you're trying to sell it for 54, you might have a difficult time. So if it's really that high, I don't know. I might look at it because who wouldn't want to get 174% ROI? But most of the time I'm looking for a more realistic ROI, and I'll look at those. If you look at the number of reviews, again, a good indicator. Again, this is one I've sold before, 36% ROI right now. You can see the one above it here that's estimating about 100 a month and is a new variant. This one is looking at 70% ROI, which again is excellent. And then all I would do if I was interested and take a look at it, just open it up. I see right now it's sold and shipped by Amazon. So sometimes you can compete against Amazon and not worry because they've jumped up in price, but historically they've been a bit lower. And if you jump on and compete, they may drop the price. So you'd have to be careful on something like this where it does say Amazon is on the listing. So if you look for ones that are good, like the Rocket Dog I've sold before, 75% not on the listing at the moment. Again, if I just open up that link, it takes me to this exact color, the exact variant, all the information that I need to see what's happening. And I can just look at the buying options, vet that. So right now it's $99.95 is the only other seller. And then I can look and see the activity that price has remained at that point. At one point it was lower at 55 is probably either Amazon, the brand, or someone else selling it. But when they're sold out, you can see decent activity, and I have sold it before. And again, you have that $99 price point. So if I'm looking at this and I can buy it for $45.64 after the Kohls cash and whatever sale that they have, that's a really good ROI at 75%, again, making that $34 profit on a single item, which is great. And then it gives me all the other information. So because of the somewhat limited velocity, this one I might only buy one or two, even though I've sold it before, because I don't want something that is a really slow seller and then I'm sitting holding that product for a long time. You're able to gauge between, do I want a really good profit and something that's a little bit lower, or maybe I'll go a little bit lower on the ROI for something that has a lot higher velocity. But of course, again, there's so many of these to choose from that I've sold 5 of this particular one, even though it's saying it only sells around 11 a month. Having 5 sales history on this is really good indicator that if I buy it, even if it doesn't sell immediately, I'm still looking at that $34 profit, 75% ROI. I definitely wouldn't mind buying another 5 or 10 and just letting them sit, because I know at some point those should sell again, having that sold history. And every time it does sell, you're locking in that really good ROI. And an item like that, you're probably not going to have too much competition of jumping back on, although there is a risk that if Amazon was on the listing, they could come back on. So it'd be something that I would simply vet by, again, just opening and taking a look at Amazon. And I always like to look at the Keepa chart just to see what's happening and then be able to make a decision. So on here, I'm not seeing signs that Amazon sells it, but I did definitely see a little bit of activity. The sales rank has been climbing a little bit with the offer at 99, but it's ranged from 92 as well. You could always come in and have a lower price. You don't have to undercut this by $1. You could put it at 94 or even 89, but you're still having a lot of ROI to choose from. If you're looking to get into online arbitrage, or you're thinking it's too difficult to find products to sell, a tool like this really will change that, because you simply have a lot of products to sell. All I'm doing is going to a site like Kohls, and I can bring up their clearance. They have 10 for every 50 spent. I could look at a department like shoes. So if I click on clearance, typically this will take me right to a search result. You can see there's over 5,000 items currently on clearance. And the nice thing about their close cash offering is that even when it's on clearance, you're still going to get that $50 or $10 for every 50 spent, which is about a 17% discount. And if I wanted to scan this list, I could do filters. Maybe I like to sort this by best selling and apply that. I could also have price ranges. I could have different departments, but I would simply take this list, copy it, go back to the main listing here, go to submit job. I'm telling it that it is Kohls, and then I'm simply pasting in that URL that I grabbed. And then here I can decide how many pages of results do I want. If I scroll all the way down to the bottom with 5,000 products, there's 44 pages, 120 per page. But there's no reason for me to only scrape 1 or 2 pages. Obviously, the more data that you have to work with, the better. So typically I will scrape at least 25. Sometimes I'll even scrape 30 pages of result. And you can see that if I'm buying the credits at full price, I'd pay about $10 for that list. But again, when you get the list and you have all these products that are profitable, it really seems like a no-brainer to go deep and buy and get a really detailed list instead of doing something that's just 1 or 2 pages and saving money. But at $3 per 1,000 products scraped, it's a pretty reasonable rate. And there are bulk discounts if you buy more than just 1,000 credits at a time. And then you can see once it's ready and the discount, I can put in whatever discount that I have. Kohls Cash is that 17%. If you have a cashback credit card, if you use gift cards, if you're using Rakuten or Top Cashback, you could probably adjust that discount. I like just to use the Kohls Cash and put it at 17. Then I'd simply submit the job. And once it's submitted, you can see all the jobs appear in my jobs section. Makes it easy. And I can send any of these to that AI analyzer. And then when I do that, here's another one that I ran, has 438 that are excellent and another 1,000 that are good. My AI is standing by, and you can see what products have I sold, and it's going through New Balance, Skechers, Nike, repeat performers, things along those lines. And again, that 200 budget, fastest sell. These are the questions that are typically asked that are going to help you in your sourcing. And then again, just coming through here and sorting by the best sellers is another way to do that. And then once I have that view, I can simply go into the chatbot and say, analyze the filtered view. So I'm sorting by the number of reviews to try to find the top sellers like Nautica, Clarks, Deer Stags, Under Armour, Hula Bura. These are a lot of things that I would sell on Walmart if I am gated on Amazon. And this is giving me They're actually saying I have a extremely strict filter because I'm selecting the excellent, and it's analyzing all this. And it's actually saying maybe I should have more relaxed, but it's giving me advice. And of course I could chat and say, no, I want this because they're all graded in. Give me your recommendations, that type of thing. Especially again, if you're a new seller, you're not really sure what are things to look at. AI is very knowledgeable. You could be asking it not just what should I buy, but why, what are typically the best sellers? What are things that I should be looking for? What are indicators here that are going to help me decide how many should I buy? Things, all that you can now ask and get that information. And again, it'll pick information that's on the sheet and you can say, okay, what's best journey? What are the best ones that you know you're ungated in? You can always go in here. Here again, I've sold 4 of these. That's always a really good indicator. And how I've done that is I have loaded in a CSV file of all my previous orders. So there's a history of 4,000 orders going back almost a year that it's now going to be able to show me, look, you sold 4 of these, even though it's a lower velocity listing. I've done really well with these because I take a chance on things that most people are looking for 1% BSR and selling 1,000 a month. That's great. A lot of these sleeper ones that you can jump on and get 133% ROI on something I've already sold 4 times. Don't sleep on those. It'll say test buy, and you absolutely should do a test buy. But when you do sell those, remember that, go back into the ones that you've sold and look at it and say, you know what, maybe I should buy more of these, especially if they're back on sale and you have the ability to buy that. Always check Keepa and look at the data. But again, just knowing that you've had sales on this in the past, you can see it was very active around the holiday when maybe Amazon or someone else is on there. The price is pretty low at 40, but look at it now at 65. And the sales rank is pretty high. But again, I probably wouldn't buy 20 of these. I may buy 2 or 3, knowing that I've sold them and knowing that even with the high BSR, even with the low estimated sales, I know I've sold it, and that ROI can be pretty crazy when items are on clearance. So if I can buy this for 22, but sell it for 65 or 64, that's really cool. I'm willing to be patient for those. And you can do a mix when you're sourcing like this of high velocity, ones you expect to be able to sell. And it should actually tell you expected to sell within a certain time frame. So this may take 90 days. It may be a lot faster, but it gives you that estimated timeline so you have that expectation. But one thing that I'm doing, because I use FBM prep centers, is I can jump on those listings immediately. I'm not waiting 3 to 5 weeks for it to go into Amazon stock, go around the different fulfillment centers before it's offered Prime. I'm able to buy these, ship them overnight or 2-day to my prep center, immediately jump on the listing, and maybe immediately I'll get sales or maybe not. I'm jumping on it and being able to list it while it is profitable and waiting for those sales to come in. Then when I get a sale, I simply print the label, give it to my prep center. They ship it to the customer. I don't have to handle the product. That's pretty powerful again. So I'm not paying sales tax by sending this to Delaware, which is a tax-free state. So there's a lot of advantages on these, and being able to use a system that's giving you a ton of products to source from, a system where if you need to be, you can be completely hands-free. You could have prep centers handling all of the products and shipping them to customers. You could be asking AI for advice on what to buy. So very powerful system. Recommend that you go to that marketfoundry.io. You can sign up for our newsletter at the bottom here. We send out free leads. We send out information, new features along those lines. You can go to the My Account tab, sign up. No billing information is needed. You'll get 1,000 credits, which is basically products to scan to create those lists. You can use the AI analyzer and the brand ungating. There's no extra cost there. And I do work with people one-on-one and offer community classes. So there's a lot of support. We have communities on School and on Discord. Both are free to join. So I encourage you to reach out. If you have questions, feel free to leave a comment, but please do subscribe, share it with anyone that you feel would benefit from this, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks.